A reminder before we get to expressions that are more complicated. Exponentiation is repeated multiplication. I want to see multiplication again and again and again whenever I see an exponent. For this expression, 5 to the 4th power, I need 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. I have an exponent of 4, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of 5 that I am multiplying together. I'll work with the first two 5s. 5 times 5 is 25, so I need a times 5 and a times 5. A little bit of work on the side, 25 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12, equals 125. I have 125 now times 5. I've got to do that one more time. One more multiplying by 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. I get my final answer of 625. So notice, once again, I have an exponent of 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 5s. I do some multiplication first. 5 times 5 gives me the 25. Then 25 times 5 gives me 125. Then 125 times 5 gives me 625. A reminder, 5 to the 4th is not 5 times 4. Don't say 20 is your answer. Here's a second reminder. Use PEMDAS, or order of operations, when you're evaluating these expressions. A reminder, the E for exponent comes before multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. If I am starting with this expression right here, I've got multiplication, but I've got exponentiation. I need to handle that first. So I will remember that I need to multiply by 5. But first, I need to find 4 times 4. This will be 5 times 16. 5 times 16 is 80. Let me tell you what is wrong. Do not do this. 5 times 4 squared is not 20 squared. You must carry out the exponent before you do any multiplication. Moving to the second example, I need to carry out the exponent before I do the addition. I will remember that I've got 2 plus, and I've got 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. My exponent is 3, so I have 3 copies of 1/2. That is 2 plus. Multiplying on the top, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Multiplying on the bottom, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. I have 2 plus 1/8 written as a mixed number. That is 2 and 1/8. For these two examples, I have expressions that use variables, and I'm telling you what the value of x is. You need to substitute this value of x into the expression and then find an answer. For the first problem, we know that x is equal to 3, so I need 4. I'll remind you that when I've got that number next to a variable, that means multiplication, so this is 4 times 3 squared. We must handle the exponent first. I need to remember that I'm going to multiply by 4, but first I need to know what 3 squared is. That's 3 times 3. That's 4 times 9. That's 36. Moving to the second problem, I will need to substitute in 1/3. I will have to handle the exponent first before handling the division. Writing this as a fraction, I have 1/3 to the third power divided by 2. Let's just focus on the top. That is 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3 divided by 2. Multiplying those three fractions together. What I have is 1 times 1 times 1, that's 1. Over 3 times 3, that's 9, times 3, that's 27. I have 1 over 27 divided by 2. Another way of writing that is 1 over 27. Let's use the division sign, divided by 2. We can just multiply by the reciprocal. 1 over 27 dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. What I get is 1/54. Some reminders as we finish here. Remember, do the exponents first. Exponents before multiplication, exponents before division. And a reminder that we need to have repeated multiplication. 3 squared means 3 times 3. 1/3 cubed means 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3.